Hey, Math Time with Mr. Wise. You already know what it is, man. We gotta get this music, get it started. Hey, man, hey, Savage, trying to do my math and about to kill these fractions. No, I'm not gonna spit. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, scholars of all ages, to Mr. Wise's Math Time. All right, we're here this week just trying to introduce something new to you guys. And I want to tell you right off the bat, it is about measurement. All right, we're stepping into measurement this week. I'm going to do things a little differently. And with my short video, I'm going to actually attach 2 videos to go along with it on YouTube. My friend, Mr. J, he actually does really cool videos on YouTube. So I'm going to attach it to your Google Classroom and make sure that you go through those videos as well to help you with the assignment. All right, I'm gonna give you kind of a secret. Now, something that I've spoken to some scholars in my classroom before about, and it's just to help you wrap your mind around math as a whole and every part of math that you learn. So what I mean by that is, since we're learning measurement, we're gonna learn something called conversion. And I'm gonna explain what that is in a second. But before we even get to that understanding, what I'm gonna explain to you is this. Every time we do math, to a certain degree, you are always going to have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, okay? Just always keep that in your mind, especially when you're doing things like word problems. It just makes sense. You're gonna have to figure it out. And if you always remember that these are the things that you're gonna have to do, you'll have a great concept of how to attack those math problems. When you're doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, you have to remember that you're always going to have some type of value or quantity, like how much, the number. You're also going to have a unit. Now, with a unit, you have to understand that changes in so many different ways. It changes when we do things like fractions, right? We know that a fraction is a part of a number. And we know that when we look or add or try to multiply fractions, it looks differently when we try to add or multiply whole numbers. All right. With that being said, I'm going to jump into what we're talking about this week. We are talking about customary units of measurement. And specifically today, we're going to discuss length. And with length, we're going to talk about inches and feet to yards. All right. I'm going to show you what the chart for customary units of measurement that I'm attaching to your Google Classroom so that you can have. You don't necessarily have to print it out, but you should have it nearby for these next couple of weeks when we are trying to work with measurement, because it has all the important parts. On your sheet, you'll see the length, the weight, the capacity, and the time. As long as you realize that these are all parts of the customary units of measurements, and these are the conversions, meaning how you turn one unit of measure to another unit of measure, then these things will help you with the math that you have to do on your upcoming problems. All right. So here's the first thing. Like I said, my video is super short. So I want you to watch those videos right after this to kind of get you another idea of how to convert. I'm going to show you something super simple. I don't have a ruler right now to show you what that would actually look like in real life, but I want you to imagine it. Even better yet, you can actually go online and Google a ruler, and it could probably show you a picture and see these connection of pictures of things that show you what would be measured, or an item in real life that could be measured according to these units. Now, I'm going to show you something really basic. If we did a quick fluency counting by 12s, what do you think will come after this? 12, 24, 36. Think about it. One more 10, that's 4 10s, 2 more 1s, 48. You're absolutely right. Now, in my mind, like I explained to you in the beginning, whether you are actually using addition and you're counting 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, and you get to 48, you're using that to count these values, right? However, you also could be thinking about multiplication if you know that, oh, I'm already counting by 12. So by the time I get to my fourth 12, that will equal 48. Now, I use the number 12 because that is actually part of our customary units of measurement. 12 inches. Now, you've seen a ruler before. We practiced using them before in school. One ruler that you'll see is equal to 12 inches. These 12 inches is a part of the customary units of measurement. If you are trying to measure something else, perhaps that item is way bigger and it will be a little bit harder to use a ruler. Sometimes you might have to use a yardstick or a meter stick, and we'll talk about those later in the week. But if you did measure something, say like the face of your laptop, it might make sense to measure it in inches. But what happens when you get things bigger than that? Let's say you're trying to measure the wall in your home. Now you could measure it in inches, no problem. And I could definitely use a ruler to even do that. But after a little while, if you notice, the numbers get really huge. So it might be a little easier to use another unit, right? Another way to count that quantity or that value just by converting it into something else. Now, converting means changing. So this 12 inches is also equal to 1 foot. Say it with me. 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. Now, again, if I actually got out to count the wall in my home and I used the ruler, of course, let's say the wall was 48 inches. Sounds good, but who knows? We might need wallpaper, we might need carpet, and the carpet or wallpaper is only measured in feet. Maybe it is, you know? We might need to convert or change that 48 inches into a foot. I'm gonna erase the rest of those numbers and use that number 48 to convert. Now, I'm gonna rewrite that because that's gonna be my standard. That means that number or those numbers, that quantity of units doesn't change. So I'm writing down the units again. Here I have 12 inches equals 1 foot. And I'm trying to figure out how many how many feet would be the same as or equal to 48 inches. Now, we did it before. We used two ways. We started thinking about, adding, which was 12 and 12 and 12 and 12. And we thought about multiplication. We all know multiplication is the faster way to get to the answer when we were talking about the cousin of addition, right? So if I know that I'm using 12 as my standard value, I need to figure out how many times 12 goes into 48, or how many times do I have to count 12 to get to 48? So I'm gonna count right now. 12, 24, 36, 48. Oh, that's easy. So if I know that 12 inches times 4 gives me 48, then that 48 inches is equal to or the same as 4 feet. Awesome. Now, it also applies in the reverse. In the reverse, I mean, if you were starting off with feet, and I'm going to erase this whole board. Let's say I have 4 feet. I measure my wall and it is 4 feet, right? I need to figure out now what I can use or the math that I can use to figure out how many inches that would be. It's kind of the same way. Now, 4 feet. How many inches did we say equals 1 foot? 12 inches. Okay. So I'm going to count once again. 12, 24, 36, 48. Oh, so 4 feet is equal to 48 inches. And I was able to show that by also counting 12, 24, 36, and 48. This is getting so awesome, really starting to understand. Now, I also know that if I have 48 inches, like I said in the beginning, if I counted 12 into 48, that means I can count 12, 24, 36, 48. I just proved it again. 48 inches is the same as 4 feet. Two ways of thinking about it, and you remember multiplication and division are closely related. So when you start looking for inches, remember that you're counting 12 inches into each foot, right? Now, if I'm starting off with a foot or using counting by feet, I have to remember that 12 inches goes into a foot. This is going to be really fun and have great practice. And remember to watch that video or the 2 videos that I attached to our assignment. And then your assignment is to complete a conversion chart. A conversion chart means it looks a little something like this chart that we have, but they will have blanks in it. And you will have to figure out, if I have 2 feet, how many inches would that be? Well, if I know that if I know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, then 2 feet will have to be 12, 24. So 2 feet is equal to 24 inches. And all you have to do is fill out the chart and attach it back to your Google Classroom, and I'll be checking it soon. Hope you had a good time, Mr. Wise. Hope you understand how we're gonna start converting our inches into feet and feet into inches. There's just a little bit more to go, so I'm gonna save this time, okay? We also have yards. Now, yards are slightly bigger than feet. So you've seen the yardstick in our classroom. It's way bigger than a ruler. And again, sometimes you might measure something that is bigger than a foot or inches, and that's okay. That same wall that we might have could be measured even faster if we use the yardstick, right? So let's pretend, before we even go into the scenario, let me remind you, on your customary units of measure, you'll see that 3 feet equals 1 yard. And I'm gonna abbreviate FT for feet and YD for yard. All right, 3 feet equals 1 yard. Now, it's the same idea. If I am counting by the feet, if I have 6 feet, I'm thinking in my mind, how many yards would that equal? Well, if 1 yard is 3 feet equals 1 yard, 3, 6, that means 6 feet is equal to 2 yards. I kind of use my math and my multiplication to figure that out. 6 feet is equal to 2 yards. Now I'm going to go to the next one, because remember, we're counting by these number with the feet as units by 3s, because 3 feet equals 1 yard. So my next value in unit would be 9 feet. Now I see it. Okay, I used my math, quick multiplication to figure out 1 yard is 3 feet, 6 feet is 2 yards. So if I add 1 more 3, or if I count 3 more, so that means 9 feet equals 3 yards. That math is really coming to me fast. And now you're gonna get to practice. Now, remember, these conversion or changes from units are equal. You will work with sometimes with the numbers that are a little bit more than 3 feet, or a little bit more than 6 feet, or a little bit more than 9 feet. But as long as you remember right now for our practice that these standard units of measurement, we're gonna stick to be able to help us count so we're able to convert properly. All right, now once again, this is the end, and I hope you had a great time. Mr. Wise out. See you on the Google Classroom. Do a great job. Have a great day. Hey.